Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're on day 4 and we are working on the Purse Pal by Lynn's Handmade Designs. So today we're going to be doing our card slots. So you're going to need your card slot slip pocket with the slots cut out, and you will need your lightweight thin fabric. You want to make sure it's cut at 2.5 inches wide. I am using just 2.5 inch wide ribbon. So what I like to do before I get the ribbon in, is I'm going to draw some lines on the wrong side of my vinyl. And this is just going to help me keep my ribbon or fabric straight. So I'm gonna go ahead, line up a straight, line up the top and get as close to the side, the circles, and I'm gonna draw a line. It's about 2.5 inches wide. So we want to stay within that. You want to make sure that your fabric is going to be not seen through your holes. So I drew a 2.5 inch wide line on each side. And then I'm going to come in at 1/2 inch from the bottom and draw a line. And 1/2 inch from that top line and draw a line. Now keep your ruler handy, and we're going to take our double-sided tape, and we're going to put double-sided tape under each card slot. You don't want to put it over the hole. You don't want it to be seen. So just underneath. This is gonna just hold your fabric in place while you're sewing your card slots. Then you're going to put it on that top line. Again, 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch from the top line, top card slot. And 1/2 inch from the bottom. So you should have eight pieces of tape. Now, you can either go ahead and add in your male end, your male snap now, or we can construct the card slots and then go back in and add it before we close everything up. If you add it now, you are going to have a little bit of a lump, so it's hard to keep everything flat. So I'm going to go ahead and add that after. So we're going to take off that bottom paper, and you're going to take your fabric, and the long tail is going to come up and out the top, and you're going to put the end not too close because you want to get it caught. Just gonna trim this. So line it up. If you drew the line, line it up in between. My end's not very straight. All right, your fabric coming up and out and laying flat. We're gonna flip this over. And then I like to take a piece of painter's tape. Depending on the color vinyl you're using, it's sometimes hard to see the card slots. So if you take a piece of painter's tape and put that right on the top of your card slot, line it right up with the edge so that you know where to keep your presser foot. All right, so we're gonna top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. So you wanna keep a long stitch length. And what I have found that is if you put your presser foot down, you have it all lined up where you want it, and then you start sewing, the feed dogs are gonna move it a step ahead of where you actually want it to start. So if you get it lined up with 1/8 of an inch, roughly where you want it, and then hand crank down, and before you pierce it, you can lift your presser foot up and then reposition it where you actually want it to start. So that way when you start, your feed dogs have already moved and it'll start where you actually want it to start. You also want to make sure that you have a long tails. You want to have a long bobbin and a long needle thread, because we are not, as the instructions state, you don't want to back stitch. You're going to pull it through and tie it off. So again, you're going to start hand cranking it, and before you pierce it, then you can go back in and reposition it, and then it'll actually start where you want it to start. All right, so not back stitching. Take it slow at 1/8 of an inch. We're only top stitching between the card slot. So slow down when you get to the end. Hand crank it, come all the way up, and then pull it out so that you have your tails. So we're going to turn it over, and we are going to, one, make sure we got our pocket caught, and then we want to tug on the bobbin thread, and that will create a little loop with your needle thread. And then you want to go ahead and pull your needle thread through on both sides. Again, just a little tug, and that will form a loop, and pull that through. And then you're going to tie this off. Trim it. You don't want to trim it. No one's going to see it, so you don't have to trim it super close to your knot, but trim it. And then do your other side. Trim it. And then add a small dot of fray chalk. And then you're going to go in and you are going to peel off the bottom line of paper, 1/2 inch from the bottom again. And then you're going to fold this down. You don't want to tug, but you do want it to lay flat. So kind of hand press up near the fold. If you drew the line, you can line it up with your line so it stays straight. Come back up to the next card slot, take your paper off, And we're gonna fold this back up and then hand press down here at the bottom. If you did the lines, you can line it up. If not, just make sure that you're staying between your holes. And then we're going to, if you're using tape, move your tape up to the next line. Making sure we have tails, making sure our fabric is coming up and out. We're gonna get this lined up, 1/8 of an inch. Start hand cranking it. See how it kind of moved forward from where I had it, so we can reposition it because we haven't pierced the vinyl yet. So reposition it to where you want it. And then staying between your holes, pull it out, and we're gonna tie it off. So pull on your bobbin thread, pull your needle thread through to the back, and we'll tie that off. Okay, so now we're going to, after we put our fray check on, the fray check is just going to keep your thread from coming undone. So we're going to take our ruler and we're going to come in on the bottom, on that bottom pocket we just created. We're going to come in at 1/2 inch. And we're going to put another piece of tape down. You can draw a line or you can just use your ruler. 1/2 inch, just between that 2.5, just 2.5 inches. Peel the tape off. And then we're going to fold this down. And then come up here to the next pocket. So we're going back and forth. That's the whole idea here, is we're going back and forth to create the slots for your pocket. So we're gonna move the tape up. And line it up and top stitch. Pulling it through, tying it off. So we're going to come in at the last pocket we just made and do 1/2 inch. And put your piece of tape. And then continue that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to continue with this. Do all your top stitching for your pockets. Just continue what we did with going back and forth. Once you finish that last line of top stitching, we'll be back. Okay, so you should have 6 lines of top stitching, and then we're going to come in at a 1/2 inch from that last slot you just made, and we're going to put some double-sided tape. And then take off that top piece of tape. Bring this up. And we are not going to top stitch that, but we do need to trim this so that it won't be seen when everything is closed up. But you want to make sure that it'll get caught in the seam allowance. All right, so now you have your completed card slots. Now is a good time to go in and make sure that your cards will fit and that you did your card slots at the correct length. Now we need to go in, if you haven't added your snap, we need to go in and add the male end of the snap. Now it's also a good time if you want to add a handmade tag, or if you have a logo or something you want to, metal logo you want to add in to the front of your slip pocket. You know, now's a good time to do that before we close it up. You can move, just like we're going to do with the snap. We're going to peel that bottom off, and then we can attach our snap, and then you can go in and add in your handmade tag or whatever you're going to put there. Just make sure that when you're doing that, you're going to leave room for your foot when we top stitch everything closed. So let's go ahead and add our spring snap. We're doing the male end. So then if you're going to put your logo on, go ahead and put that on. This side is not going to be seen, so don't put it on the back of it. It's going to be, you can put it in the front. So we need to line the bottom of that pocket back up with that 1/2 inch mark. So if you drew that mark, it's going to come in handy. And then make sure everything is laying flat. And we have assembled our card slots. So go ahead and snap a picture of that, add it into the corresponding day. We're on day 4, so add your photo of your completed card slots to the Facebook group. And we will be back tomorrow for day 5, where we will